Hey everyone, Bob Perkins with Crystal Knows First Know Your Buyer podcast, back for third in a series of 3, week number 3 with Julie Hansen. Julie, welcome.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for having me back here. I'm excited.
You know what I just noticed? Even though this is 3 weeks later, we happen to be wearing the exact same outfits. How is that?
What? I don't know.
Julie is a good friend, author of Look Me in the Eye. And Julie, you were promoting video, virtual best practices for sales reps way before COVID, before everyone was using video. Now it's a must-have. And you're going to talk today about how to really get engagement on video. It's so important. That has to do with helping to know your buyer better. So Julie, what's today's tip?
Well, yes, exactly that. It's part of knowing our buyer is understanding how buyers behave in front of a screen. And you've probably noticed is when I first started coaching, salespeople during COVID on this, and they were like, God, one of the things that drives me crazy is like, I ask a question, nobody answers. I get all these blank stares, especially if there's more than one person. It's frightening. And it sends people into a panic, and they start to over check in or just do one long monologue. That's why you don't hear, you hear a lot of punctuation free content when people are in virtual meetings, because we're afraid to stop because nobody's going to say anything. So it's a real challenge, and it's not like that in person because we have a lot of different cues that can let people know, hey, I expect an answer, or this is a question, or let's have some engagement. We can physically move towards them. We can look at them. So we have to respond differently virtually. And we have to work a lot harder to get people engaged, because our natural behavior, this on-screen behavior that we've learned over many years, is to be in more of a receiving mode when you sit in front of a screen. Like, it's been a very one-way conversation for most of our lives. It's only recently that we've started having this two-way conversation. And our receiving mode is like when you're watching a movie, or going through your iPad, or doing some work. You're not showing up attentive and ready to engage. So that's how our buyers approach virtual meetings. So understanding that you're not going to get that level of engagement you would in person is really important. And there's a couple of tricks that you can do. First of all, you need to understand, again, the power of looking at the camera. So if I ask a question and I ask it down here, so how are you guys, how are you engaging people in your meetings today virtually? And there's three people.
I'm sitting here thinking, did she just ask me a question? Because she's not
Right.
You're not looking at me.
I'm not looking at you. And it doesn't really sound like a question, because I'm sort of uncommitted to it because I don't expect an answer. And I think we're so used to not getting an answer that we just kind of throw these questions out like, so how are you doing this today?
I want to see
a lot of people are doing this. And then we jump in and answer our own question.
So replay that, but really make it like she's asking me and I better answer her.
Right. So if you really want to get an answer, here's what you do. So how are you engaging your customers today in those virtual meetings?
Sure. I'd love to tell you more about that. So you looked at me, you stopped, you paused, and I'm like, I owe Julie an answer. That was excellent.
Right. And if there's 4 people, if there's 100 people on the call, everybody will feel like they owe me an answer. So somebody will, and what happens is we ask a question, and for some reason we think nothing is going on in our audience's brains. They're just looking at it in complete silence going, well, go on already. I'm not going to answer this. When in fact, they're going through a process. They didn't know you were going to ask a question. They're going through, do I have an answer? Should I answer in front of my boss? Is it going to make me look stupid?
Yeah.
I guess nobody else is going to answer. Okay, I have to unmute myself. This can take 10, 15 seconds. And if you constantly disrupt that process, you don't allow them to go through that. And then, they don't get an opportunity to share with you. So you don't get to know them very well. Right. So you have to get confident with that pause. And I'll tell you, that's one of the, in my classes, in my coaching, that's one of the things people have to practice, because it's like, oh yeah, I need to pause more. And then ask them to do it, even with their peers, and they jump in too fast because it's a learned behavior, and we have to adopt these new behaviors to communicate successfully virtually.
I like what you did on that pause. You did not leave the camera. You didn't say,
No.
You didn't go, so Bob, tell me how you're currently, improving your outbound efforts, and, do this. But
Right.
you looked right at me. You stayed at me, long pause.
See, everyone looks to the screen to see if somebody's going to move or answer. It's like, that's not going to help. That's not going to improve your odds of getting an answer. If you hold your gaze, someone will answer. Don't let it always be you.
Any final tips before we wrap up today?
Oh gosh, I would say, just with all the news about AI and all the is it going to replace us? And I think we have a really great opportunity to bring our authenticity to the camera. But so many people, sellers, don't understand how to use the camera to highlight their authenticity in a way that connects them with their audience. So if you're just more like a virtual robot, then yes, you're in danger of, being replaced. But if you can build those relationships and you can make your audience feel like they're sitting across from a real person who cares about them, who hears them, who understands them, that's a great way to future-proof your career and build those connections and grow your sales.
Nobody was trained on how to use the camera, whether it's one-on-one. This book is a huge help. I'd encourage you all to go out and get it. Look Me in the Eye by Julie Hansen. Using video to build relationships with customers, partners, and teams. Know your buyer better. That's what it's all about, putting the human back in selling. Julie, this was fantastic. We'll have you back for another series.
I hope so. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Bob.
All right. Until next
time.
Bye-bye, everyone. Until next Monday, come on back. First Know Your Buyer podcast. See you then. Bye-bye.